All right, everybody, welcome back to the second episode of the Just One More podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chris Jacobs, realtor with the Neil and Neil team, and this is...
I'm Carlos Copswog, also realtor here with the Neil and Neil team.
And like we said before, this is not going to be a real estate podcast. This is going to be a general podcast, and I've got a badass guest today that she's a legend on Facebook. She's a legend at the USDA. She's a big-time meat grader. Take that as you want. We've got the one and only Lauren Hahn, the founder of Puro, Pinche, Low Fence, which is my favorite Facebook group. How you doing today?
Wait.
I'm good. How are y'all?
It's Puro, Pinche, right?
Puro.
Whatever.
Puro Pinche. Yeah.
Whatever. So Lauren, tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of who you are, and then we're going to get into PPLF here pretty heavy.
Okay. Well, I'm a meat grader, as you mentioned. That's my career. I've worked for the USDA for almost 21 years now. I started with them as a student intern in college and got hired on kind of by chance. I didn't expect to get hired, and it turned into an internship, which turned into a full-time job. They moved me to California after I finished grad school, and I spent 7.5 years in Central California working for the USDA. And then a job opportunity came open down here in Corpus. And so I moved myself back down here. I'm originally from Central Texas, from Fredericksburg, born and raised in Fredericksburg, Texas, and was trying to get back to where I'm from so that I could see my family and hunt and everything else, because the hunting scene in California is pretty difficult to navigate. It's not non-existent. It does have a lot of different rules, and it is a whole lot different than what I grew up with. And you really had to know somebody to be able to even access property to hunt. It was pretty difficult. So, I would come home every year for 2 weeks in November and go hunting at my family's place up in Harper. But other than that, that was all I had. So being closer to home, being able to see my family more, and being back in Texas, of course, was all good. So been here in Corpus for this area for 11 years now. And yeah, it's cool. I like South Texas. It's all right. I mean, I probably wouldn't live right here if I had a choice, but it's all right. There's a lot of opportunity here to hunt and fish and be outside. And, we've got everything right here. So we're pretty spoiled. We get to, bounce down to the coast and fish. We went yesterday evening. We're going to go today, try to catch some sheep's head. So.
Oh, that's good. That
nice.
sounds
like it down here. Yeah.
I live in Lavernia, so I'm not too far north of you. And we go down to Port Aransas every summer, and we get to hang out down there pretty much all summer long. Me and my wife and the kids. So you are the founder of a group on Facebook that is wildly popular. I think you have somewhere like 60,000+ subscribers called Puro. I'm white. I'm just going to say it like a white guy says it.
I'm white as can be.
No excuse.
Puro, Pinche, Low Fence. How the hell did you come up with this?
Honestly, I was an admin for another hunting page, and it was like rules and rules and rules and rules. And it was like really overbearing to have to enforce all these rules all the time. And it was like, it made it like no fun. And that was back when Facebook could be a whole lot more fun. There wasn't so many restrictions on what you could say, what you could do. And so it was really hard to deal with that all the time. And like, cracking down on people all the time. That's not my personality. So, I was just jacking around. I was like, I'm going to make my own Facebook group, like hunting group, but like with like no rules, like, or as little rules as possible. Right. And no hurt feelings, no butt suffering, no crying. Like, if you like it, you stay. If you don't, you leave. I don't care. It's fine. And so I did. It was on Christmas Eve, like 8 years ago. And I was headed to my parents, and I made it. Like, I'm just joking around. I just made it. And like down here in South Texas, like Puro Pinche is attached to a lot of things. It's an emphasis word. People think that Pinche means like, they like Google it. It's not that, and in reality, it means stingy. Pinche is stingy. And so, or cheap, or, tight with your money, whatever. But Pinche around here means like an emphasis word, badass, right. Whatever. Pinche. So yeah, I made it, just as a joke. Honest to God, it was a joke. And I added my friends, and they added their friends, and then it kind of became like the home for all the people that got kicked out of other groups. so it just grew from there. And It's all been like, I guess I hate to say organic, but I've never once asked people to like, share, and add your friends. I've never pushed for membership. If you want to be there, great. If you don't, that's fine too. And I always just kind of run it like that, but it's really hard to maintain that group, especially with the sense of humor that a lot of people have, with the Facebook community standards and issues with gun sales and everything else. I have to really watch closely what I approve. And at this point, I approve every single post that goes on that page. I go through because I have lost this group multiple times. And if you look at like the origination date of the group now, it's like something 2020 or November 2020 or 21, something like that, because it got took down. And so I've lost it at 32,000 people, 20,000, 5,000, and now it's up to 60, almost 65.
So you actually started over from the ground up a couple times and still grew that big? That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's become kind of a thing of its own. I didn't ever, like I said, never pushed for this or wanted that or whatever. It just kind of turned into this. And I love it. I enjoy it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
It's probably one of the funnest groups because not only just talk about hunting, but you're just razzing on people and people have a lot of fun on there. So I guess one of my first questions is, because of some of the stuff you see on there, it gets pretty intense, especially with the 6'5" haters. And it's funny because I'm a 6'5" guy. Like I've got a 300 Win Mag. I hunted with that forever. I've got damn near every caliber you could possibly have, from AR platforms to rifles, but my go-to is a 6'5". So I listen to the shit people say on there, and it's just like, holy cow. So has anybody ever had their feelings hurt so bad that they message you directly? And if so, what happened with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had people message me directly. I don't know about over the 6.5 issue, but yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely had people message me directly to complain about the group or whatever. And sometimes, I feel I've kind of through learning the hard way, I've gotten to the point where sometimes if people don't seem to be able to handle that type of humor, to me, if you're going to dish it, you're going to have to take it. So prime example is today, somebody posted a picture of me and Steven at the restaurant last night. A guy recognized us, took a picture of us without us knowing. And he did say hi before he left the restaurant. Well, first thing this morning, I was approving posts, and there's this picture of us sitting at a table. And I approved it, and it was fine. And I look like shit, and I don't care. And people were just going on and on about, the way we looked or whatever, a lot of stuff. And I don't care. It's fine. I did look like shit. It's okay. But, I rag on people. I'm going to take it too. I'll take my hits just like anybody else. But sometimes people don't get that. They don't have that sense of humor. They don't have that personality. And I just go ahead and remove them because it's better for me to proactively remove somebody than to wait for them to get so offended that they report my group. And honestly, I'd rather just do it that way than lose my group all over again over one person not being able to take some joking. Like, it's Facebook, it's the internet. Like, it's really not that serious. But at this point, I have so much work, so much time into it. I'm not willing to let my group go down over one person's hurt feelings. So
yeah, it gets pretty intense. I've seen some
people
comments,
take it really, really personal.
Exactly. Yeah. I was gonna say I've seen some replies. Some people get extremely aggressive, and to me, like, so I manage a couple community pages in our area, and it's laughable. People post something, and people just want to get on there and start shit. They just want to talk shit. They want to be a Karen or whatever, and it's just they just want to be heard because they're lonely or whatever the case is.
Need attention. They need to be petted.
Yeah. One of the cool things that I see on there is y'all have a really good propensity of calling people out for really messing with your community. And it's not just the PPLF community, it's the hunting community altogether. And something that we see a lot on there is people that will sell hunts and they're fake hunts and they take people's money. And this community, and Lauren can touch on it, but this community will literally, it's like spies. They will find everything you could possibly dream of about this person, where they live, who they work
background,
with,
everything.
Oh, it's insane. There was one probably a couple of weeks ago where they hammered this guy down to his county. They went and reported him to the county, and they ended up arresting the guy. Someone posted his mugshot.
Damn.
I mean, it gets pretty wild with those hunts.
Yeah, that's one thing, you know, I definitely don't want to be party to bad business. Especially, I mean, if they're in my group, it's one thing. If they're advertising business on my page and somebody gets burned, that's even worse. But I don't want to be party or host to someone doing bad business. And so, yeah, if someone takes someone's money and doesn't come through on their end of the deal, I am 100% happy to offer that platform for them to get roasted into submission or whatever it takes for that person to get reimbursed, paid, whatever, you know. And we joke about, you know, taking people to court, Puro Pinche court. But I tell you what, the track record on that court is real good. So,
good.
you know, that makes me so happy. I really, really like that when somebody tries to get one over on somebody and you know, I can somehow provide a platform for somebody to get, you know, what's theirs. You know, I hate a thief. And so, yeah, you know, if I can offer a platform for somebody to get what they need, get square with somebody, for sure. And then when it's over with, if that shitty outfit or whatever is still in my group, they're going to go. I mean, I don't, you know, I like I said, I hate a thief. So if it's a way for me to help somebody out, I'll do it for sure.
There's a hell of a lot of loyalty in the page.
That's what I said. So people actually get away with that of like charging people and just never.
Oh
that's
yeah,
crazy.
all the time. Taking deposits, hunting deposits, and then it's like a laundry list of excuses on why they can't go. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Never hear from them again.
Oh well, it says no refunds, so I'm sorry, but here's your, you know, can't go, can't refund your money either, because they've already spent it. And like I said, I've told these guys, you know, they come crying to me when the heat gets on them, and I say, you know, look, you haven't done your part of the job yet. So in my mind, that money is not yours. It should not be spent. It should not be, you know, used. It should be sitting there until the job's done, and then now you get paid. But it's never that way. You know, they take the deposit, they spend it, whatever, and then it's gone. And then when people, you know, whatever happens to the hunt, you know, my lower unit went out on my boat, I can't take you out for your nilgai hunt now. Hey, bro, that's your job. You're the outfitter. You're the one that's supposed to make it happen, you know. And now they're like, oh, well, I don't have any money, you know, to refund this person. Hey, wow. You need to pull it out of your ass or something, because you didn't do your part of the job, you know.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you know, if I can help somebody get their money back, makes my day for sure.
So tell me something else that's come up here in the last year on PPLF that is actually hilarious. So not too long ago, I was at the ranch, and one of my buddies was hunting with me, and we had some illegals come across, and he had taken a TikTok video and made a TikTok video and put that audio in the background. I was like, hey George, you can't park here. And they're walking across. And so we're scrolling through that, watching that. And then I started seeing nut pictures. So on Puro Pinche, we don't score deer. We don't score deer by horns.
Oh, okay.
We got to take a picture of the nuts and post them. So how the hell did that get started? And who was it? Because I want to buy him a case of beer.
Okay. His name is Sky Yoakum, and he lives right here, right down the road. Yeah, he had a buck that he shot that had just like extra huge nuts. I guess he thought it was worth mentioning, right? Thought it was worth addressing, bringing up, spotlighting with some pictures. And from then on, it was like every picture, like every deer. These guys would shoot like 178. I mean, just buck of a lifetime for most of us people that shoot little deer. And so, you know, just monster bucks. And the first picture they want to submit is the sack. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? Really that good? I mean, my gosh. But yeah, we've seen sacks from all sorts of animals, and it's crazy. I didn't ask for that. I didn't start that myself. But here it is. And so, you know, yeah, almost every deer this season, there was either a sack picture or I'm sorry, I didn't get a sack picture comment. So it was like, they thought it was like, you know, required to post a picture, right? And I was like, no, man. Like
it should be required to submit for BNC, in my opinion. Now, I feel like it should be standard protocol for a BNC score. I mean, you got to know. Yeah, I mean, that's how you can tell their age. You can certainly, I mean, this little. there's been some posted that you're just like, man, that's an impressive impressive sack.
So I recently just joined the group, so I haven't seen all that yet, but I guess I'll have to go back and look through it.
You're late. Don't worry, it'll be back.
It's funny because you get into anybody.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, anybody that knows anything about hunting or does anything with hunting and they get onto Facebook, they're a member of PPLF. And the amount of nut pictures that come from, and we're not just talking deer.
It's not just deer.
Everything.
No.
Rabbit.
Sure.
Anything.
I'm surprised we haven't
If it's
started
got a
seeing
sack,
like,
it's probably been on there.
Right.
yeah, if it has a sack, it's probably, I'm sure some dude is taking a picture of his and posted on there and pretending like it was a deer. You just never know. I mean,
he didn't get a deer, so he had to post
I
it.
have seen some pictures. I have to be careful about stuff like that because Facebook's like adult nudity, and if I approve it, then I'm in trouble. And so, like, there's some stuff, yeah. I mean, like, see, when I say I look at everything, I look at every picture, every post, because I can't. If Facebook catches it, then I get spanked, and then they get spanked too, and then like they take that shit real serious. So
it is pretty wild.
When Facebook like flags you, do they flag your personal account as well? Like, do you get shut down your personal account or just the group?
No, just the group.
Oh, okay.
But they have like red, green, yellow, like ratings, I guess. It's like right now, it's like, you know, I have like a yellow status because of comments that people make, even though it's not my fault or under my realm of control. Some of people's comments, and that again, going back to, you know, Facebook policies and that being difficult to manage. People talking about hunting and saying, you know, shoot him, blast him, whatever, you know, common hunting verbiage is considered violence and incitement as per Facebook hate speech guidelines or whatever. And I used to be able to appeal things like that, and now I can't. I used to tell them, you know, this is made in context of hunting. It's not directed at people. And sometimes I could get it revoked and sometimes not. But managing a group that promotes hunting on a very liberal, touchy-feely, don't hurt the bunnies platform is difficult. It's really difficult. And you know, Facebook used to be so much better. You know, I have a friend that he made like a whole career selling guns on Facebook before they cut off all that, you know, and it used to be a whole lot easier. And now it just gets harder and harder. I have to be really careful. And the stuff that I have to decline is not because I personally don't like it, don't want it, don't see the humor in it. It's I cannot afford to let that through because I already know, based on personal experience, is going to cause problems. So, you know, I kind of have to water it down, I guess you would say, to make sure that it stays running. I mean, just so it stays on, you know, on Facebook.
Those gun rules. So I bet I got 10 or 11 guns that I have either bought or won in raffles through Facebook groups. And friends of mine that are gun, you know, they own gun shops, they have licenses, everything, you know, West Texas and North Texas. And I've won them in last couple of years. They've locked it down so hard that, I mean, you can't even post a picture of a gun. You can't even say the full gun. You have to like break it up with like certain letters because they'll flag your account. It's so stupid.
You know, I have the worst luck in those raffles. I spent probably like $2,500 to win a $700 gun. Hey, but I won.
Hey, yeah, it's hard. People want to post pictures of their setups, post pictures of their builds, or you know, they're even sitting in a deer blind with a rifle sitting there, you know, in a window looking out, and a beer on the counter, and that, you know, sometimes will be an issue. And I'm like I have to be really careful. I have to decline stuff, and I say, you know, please add not for sale in your post, because Facebook may see this as some sort of gun post, and of course it has happened before, you know, where they popped it as a gun sale, and I said no, you know, it's not, and it's clearly not for sale. There's been one where it said not for sale, and they still wanted to say that it was a gun sale, you know, and it's like, you have no recourse, you know. So it's really frustrating. That part of the management side of it is frustrating for sure, especially dealing with Facebook values.
Went sandhill crane hunting, and I made this like really cool epic video, and they took that down.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
I was like, man, that sucks.
Yeah, but the wonder is even on PPLF, you'll post a picture. Like I posted a picture last season. I had a beer in my window and had my rifle to the side, and I started getting hammered by people for drinking while I was hunting. I was like, what the hell else am I going to do?
Oh yeah.
I don't go there to hunt. I go there to drink beer.
If I hunt, and then maybe if something comes out and asks for it, you might have to shoot something, because then you got to clean it. Like, right? Yeah, I know. And like me, I mean, I like I said, I don't like lots of rules. Even in my regular day-to-day life, I hate a lot of overlording. I believe in natural consequences pretty heavily. And some people can handle it, and some people can go out and drink and shoot and have a great time. And then some people should not be handling firearms when they're drinking. And I mean, that's the truth. But the vast majority of people can go out and have a beer and hunt, have 10 beers. I don't care. And totally be fine. And people getting on there and railing on people for, enjoying their time outdoors, however they want to do it. I don't necessarily appreciate that, but
yeah. And maybe we should add that, the Just One More podcast does not condone handling firearms while drunk, just to make sure everybody understands that. Just be responsible, whatever you're going to do.
Yeah, exactly. Stay in your lane, do what you're capable of, and be, don't go out and be stupid, but also, just leave people alone and let them enjoy their free time too.
So we got a lot of citizen game wardens on PPLF. My question is, have you ever had game wardens message you or contact you for content through this?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Got them on the short list, man. Yeah. I've got plenty of them in there. People are like, they shouldn't be in this group. I'm like, you know how many there are? Like there's more. I'm sure there's more than I know of, but
they're just like us. Most of them are just like us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have some that I consider personal friends. So absolutely. And they have their job and they have their place. And, sometimes people post stuff on there that, like, you see it and you're like, yeah, just easy money, because there's game wardens or people that work for them that literally sit there and look at social media all day long and pick low hanging fruit. And I'm sorry, if you're dumb enough to post something that's going to get you in trouble like that, like, you don't do that. But yeah. Oh yeah. I've had them message me and ask me a lot of questions, or ask me if I knew somebody or if I knew anything about somebody. Yeah, I do. And that's fine. I mean, I don't mind helping them out if I know something.
If you do something illegal, actions have consequences.
Absolutely. They seem to have a big heart on for alligators. I don't know what it is about alligators, but anytime somebody posts pictures of alligators, it seems like they have issues with the game warden. And maybe there's not a tag in the picture. Oh my God, my bird's having a fucking stroke. Maybe they didn't post a tag in the picture or something like that, and the game wardens will show up and somebody's like, you have game wardens in your group. I posted my alligator bird. Yo, sorry. The only place I posted my alligator was in your group, and the game warden showed up at my house and wanted to see the tag on that gator, and I was at work and my wife had to deal with them, and that's bullshit. And I'm like, what do you want me to say? Why are you telling me this? Like, it's not my fault. Like,
if you don't need the federal government monitoring social media, you're out of your damn mind. Like it.
Oh, 100%.
Like you can't get away from it.
Yeah.
So I do got a question. So if you had to pick one place to, like, one area of Texas to hunt, like North Texas, South Texas, East or West, what would you say is your top pick?
What are we hunting?
I guess it's deer. I don't know. Stag.
Golden Triangle, South Texas to the west a little bit. The natural deer population are just ridiculous. They're beautiful, huge. The hides on them are gorgeous. They've got beautiful dark capes. The deer themselves are massive. Even an average deer has a huge body, and your above average deer have huge, huge antlers. I mean, they're beautiful animals, and the racks are, big, wide, heavy. I mean, as far as a whitetail goes, to me, that's the most beautiful whitetail anywhere. Just South and West Texas, not West Texas, but Southwest, Eagle Pass, Carrizo, that area. And then even into Mexico. Mexico has some really stunning whitetail as well.
Yeah. I used to have a deer lease in El Indio about 12, 13 years ago. It was only 90 acres, and it was a captain for I think it was Border Patrol. And we were so excited to get on that place because it had a single wide trailer, had no utilities, but it was a place to sleep. We had a big shop to barbecue and shit. And we killed a bunch of pigs out there the first weekend. And then opening day came, we're sitting there, and I was reading Lone Survivor, the book, before the movie came out. And we're like, where the hell are all the deer at? We couldn't find shit on that place. And I remember going and pulling cards and coming back to the house the next week and going through my cards. And every single day at 3:30, his dad would drive by and flick cigarettes under the feeders. Every freaking day. I pulled off that place so fast. I was so pissed because I was like, El Indio is like right smack dab in the middle of it.
Where's that? El Indio. I don't even know where that's at.
Laredo, northeast of Laredo.
Oh, okay. Okay. Probably
Yeah.
like by Carrizo, kind of
Yeah.
that area.
Yeah.
So I didn't
Yeah.
grow up hunting. I'm actually from Pearsall, Texas, but I just never grew up hunting. I don't know why. I just started the last couple years, so that's why I'm asking that question. And I'm sure there's a lot of other new hunters out here. But honestly, the first deer I ever killed was probably shouldn't say this, probably not the right size. His nuts weren't big enough, but
Oh boy.
but that was a couple years ago.
I need that picture.
Huh?
I need that picture.
I didn't take a picture. That was
Sorry, we didn't get a picture of the sack, but
Can't score it. Can't score it.
yeah. We don't know what happened with it.
Can't score it. Can't score it. So I want to shift gears a little bit because you have a vast experience with firearms and with the hunting community, and obviously we're under a lot of pressure right now as hunters because of the type of rifles we use, the different scenarios with which we hunt, pigs, things like that. So obviously we're coming on 2 weeks since the shooting in Kansas City, which was perpetrated. It was gang violence, but this is a conversation that a lot of people are talking about with the AR platform. And obviously I have a ton of experience with AR platforms going back from my military days. I own 17 platforms. We won't get into everything else that I own with them, but it's a topic of discussion. And I think it's an important and smart conversation to have, especially with someone that runs a very large platform. What is some of the takes that you see, or that you have when it comes to hunting with AR platforms, whether it's deer, pigs, whatever? Or, I mean, where do you stand on some of that stuff?
Like I said, I kind of believe less rules is better. I'm not a big fan of overlording anything, and in the respect of ARs and like magazine capacities and things like that, I believe that people should have access to them if they can legally have them, and responsibly use them. I feel like kind of the cat's kind of out of the bag in that respect. You would never be able to reel all that in at this point, but there is a purpose for them. Anybody that's come across a whole bunch of pigs could tell you that, a large capacity magazine is very useful when it comes to eliminating problem critters like hogs that cause a lot of damage and do a lot of damage. You have to kill 70% of the local hog population annually to keep the population level. You have to be on it like a lot just to keep the population consistent. So, yes, they have their use. And even recreationally, like it's fun to shoot, it's fun to get out there and rip, rounds off. And that's great. And people should have access to that if they want to. You cannot account for all the evil, the shitty people, the crazies, the mentally ill. You can't account for that. And people have been evil, ill, sick, minded, whatever, since the beginning of time. And so, like I said, you can't always account for all these weapons. You take one thing away, it's just going to be another. And so, even if it comes down to self-defense, people should have the ability to defend themselves. And that's the way I feel about that. Like I said, if you can legally have it, by all means, use it.
I'm kind of in the same boat. First of all, anybody that thinks that the AR is the same as the M16 or the M4, it's not the same. Nothing about it is the same. It's a semi-automatic rifle. It's no different than shooting a pistol with a magazine. And if you talk about magazine capacity, you go try to shoot, if you got pigs tearing up a pasture or pigs screwing up crop fields, you're not dropping a pig with one round. I mean, unless you get just a perfect shot and you're 50, 60 yards out.
On the first one, maybe.
You need capacity. And I think I can speak from a little bit of experience because obviously being in the military and being in Iraq for so many years, but I live in Lavernia, which is about 5 minutes north of Sutherland Springs. And I was in Lavernia when the shooting in Sutherland Springs happened. And once again, crazy lunatic illegally got a hold of a firearm. And this time it was the federal government's fault for not reporting him and not making sure that his dishonorable discharge was properly processed and that it went to the federal government to flag him when he tried to purchase. My deer lease is 40 minutes west of Uvalde. I was driving through Uvalde when that happened, headed to the ranch to put protein out, and Uvalde happened. And I saw the response. And again, a minor illegally possessed he bought it somewhat legally, but he should have been flagged for mental health reasons, several reports for mental health issues. If a bad guy wants to do something bad, they're going to do something bad.
100%.
It doesn't matter what stopgaps you put in place. I don't give a damn who you think you are and what kind of limitations you're going to put on something. If minors want to smoke, minors are going to smoke. Drunk drivers want to drive, drunk drivers are going to drive. If people want to shoot up something, they're going to shoot up something. If they can't shoot it up, they're going to blow it up. Or they can't blow it up, they're going to stab you. They're going to do stupid shit. We have gotten to a point in this country, in my opinion, and we don't talk politics on this podcast for very specific reasons, but we've gotten to a point where there's a lack of accountability in this country. There's lack of accountability in this world. Nobody takes anybody serious. Nobody holds anybody accountable. It goes from the real estate industry. It goes to hunting. It goes to the USDA industry, federal government level. There is no accountability. And when you have no accountability, it allows people to do stupid shit and take advantage of loopholes and opportunities to do dumb stuff. And it's good to know that there's a lot of people, responsible hunters out there like yourself, myself, and several hundreds of thousands others that see it that way. And hopefully we'll see what happens, but hopefully we can start seeing some accountability for some of this stuff and maybe shake things up a little bit and get off all the AR gun grabbing crap, because that's good luck, because there's 337 million AR platforms in this country.
Wow. I remember specifically when I lived in California. After that, I think she was a senator that was shot in Arizona. Kathy
Giffords. Kathy Giffords.
So she was shot, right? And so my grandfather, who was like at the time probably in his 80s, contacted my ex-husband and was like, hey, can you get me one of those 30-round mags for my Ruger P89? Because I'm pretty sure they're going to outlaw those like right now. So he had to go, like, because we were in California, you couldn't have cool shit in California. Like they had like bullet buttons and all these restrictions on ARs, and like made it really hard to get anything done out there. And so he, but my granddad didn't know how to order this 30 rounds. Have you seen one on a Ruger P? They stick out like, like this far. It's like cute, right? So he was like, he wanted one of those because he was worried that they were going to outlaw those at the time. And, my grandfather was, in his 80s and still had his license to carry and all that. And he always had his guns and everything. But, he was worried that was going to get restricted, way back when. And, luckily we're still able to do a lot of those things, use a lot of those things, because like I said, if you feel that you have the need for it and you want to have it and you can responsibly own it, why not? So
at the end of the day, if you try to harm me or my family, I want to have the bigger gun.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you should.
Yeah. Yeah. And you should have the right
legally have it. Why not?
The Second Amendment is not absolute. Neither is the First Amendment, Fourth Amendment. None of them are, but more, it was set for a reason, and it doesn't apply to a specific type of weapon. It's my job is to protect my family at all costs. I've unfortunately had the experience when I was in the military of using them, and I'm not afraid to do it again if I had to.
At the end of the day, if you look at, I'm a statistics guy. If you look at statistics of where the most gun violence is where they have the strictest gun laws, because criminals are going to get them and use them no matter what you tell them. Period.
Yeah. You're going to just keep them out of the hands of the people that are actually, the responsible owners, because like you said, the criminals are still going to get theirs however they can, and it's going to be on the black market one way or another.
So they always show.
So who needs the guns? The responsible people.
Yeah, I was going to say they always show mass shootings all the time, all over the news. But when those mass shootings are prevented from somebody who is carrying their gun, they never show that.
One was just prevented in Houston at Joel Osteen's church.
That one,
2.5, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's what made me think of that. Because it was an off-duty cop or something like that.
Two off-duty police officers.
Yeah, and he was
off-duty.
They're already in the church, right?
They were in the church.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you look at, the guy that stopped the Sutherland Springs shooter, although he had already done most of his damage, stopped it on the AR.
Yeah.
There was a home invasion not too long ago. I don't know where it was at, but a 15-year-old boy grabbed his dad's AR-15, shot one of the guys. The other guy got away, but they ran. Nobody else got hurt. It's a catch-22, Kansas City deal. That's one of those kind of deals where there's 800 police officers there, but you can't always rely on a good guy to stop a bad guy. But again, if a bad guy wants to do something dumb, they're going to do it. You just have to make them think when they show up, if you do this, you are going to get the fiercest punishment possible, whether that be the death penalty, whatever that case is. I think you should go back to waterboarding and phone book interrogations, but that's just me. But at the end of the day, consequences, actions, we got to make sure that those line up. Lauren, I can't agree. I can't thank you enough. I can't believe this is the first one you've ever been on, considering your platform on PPLF.
No, it's the second one. It's the second one.
I really, really appreciate this. And to everybody that's on Facebook that does hunting, if you don't follow Puro, Pinche, Low Fence, you need to go follow that page. It is hilarious. It's also educational. I've gotten several really good hunts off of it. I've picked up some clients off of there. Actually, I just sold about to list a ranch in Benavides from a guy that was on there. And I do a lot of farm and ranch listings.
Do you know there's black bear been seen around Benavides?
Yeah, matter of fact, here's what's even crazier. So a friend of mine has a ranch up in Medina, and we were out there on a friend event. Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay, so we went out there
2 years ago,
thermal hunting, hanging out, chilling, whatever. And we're sitting at the cabin, and we look out, and we see something walking by the feeder. There's a cabin, and then right behind the cabin, about maybe 180, 200 yards out, is a feeder for deer to come up and eat. And we thought it was a pig. So of course, I get my DD4 out, and I'm on it with my thermal, and I'm like, man, that's not a pig. I was like, well, let's just keep an eye on it. So my buddy gets his mono up, and he's looking. He's like, that's a goddamn black bear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, of course, I wasn't even thinking. I was like, let me smoke that thing. Like, I would love it. He's like, don't shoot that black bear. But in Medina, in the hill country.
Was it 75 yards out from us, maybe?
No, it was at the feeder, so probably 150 yards.
Oh, okay.
It was huge. But I did hear about the one in Benavides. Cool. And I also heard about one down south of Laredo about 7-8 months ago, next door to another ranch that I sold.
They caught that one in town, I believe.
Oh, wow.
They caught that one. They relocated it.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're definitely coming back. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Well, we certainly appreciate you coming on. I hope to have you on soon, and enjoy your fishing and your time off from grading everybody's meat. And have a happy week, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate being on.
Problem.
Thank you.
Bye. All right. That was a badass segment. It was so cool having her on here because I've been a member of that page, PPLF, for a long time. And I've always wanted to just have a conversation with her because she engages a lot on that platform. And it's fun to watch how she kind of handles people because they'll like say something and she'll just roast them.
Yeah, as you could tell, she doesn't give a fuck. And we need a lot more people like that in this world.
Oh yeah. But I want to kind of stay on the topic of that Kansas City shooting, and both of us being veterans, him and más o menos with the veteran thing.
Hey,
but
I shot more guns than you. Nah.
I don't know about that, but AR platforms, potential ramifications, solutions. I mean, I don't know that there's a wide scale solution for what many would conceive as or perceive as a gun problem in this country. At the end of the day, I think it does fall on consequences. I think it falls on responsibility. And I think there's not a whole, I mean, it's a touchy subject because I have a lot of friends that have been impacted by gun violence. I have a lot of friends that have been impacted by domestic violence with relation to guns. And your chair's still acting.
Yeah, it's fucking broken.
You totally. Carlos has been lifting too many weights. Muscle has been destroying this chair over here. But I mean, what are your thoughts on the AR platform and how it's managed in the civilian society?
So, one, I mean,
and this is coming from someone that doesn't. You haven't been big into hunting.
Yeah, I was in the military. I haven't been huge into hunting. Like, probably, honestly, started hunting when I was like in my mid-20s. Like, first time ever shooting a deer I was probably 28. So I started hunting way late in my life. But ultimately, how long have ARs been around?
Oh God, I would say popular amongst common society since the late 90s, probably.
Yeah. So we don't have any type of issue with guns. We have a super crazy mental health problem in the U.S. which they need to focus on getting that taken care of, which starts with the parents. Parents really letting their kids do whatever they want, be who they want. I hate to say it, dress how they want. Probably shouldn't talk too much about this, but at the end of the day, letting their kids run wild. That's going to lead to them wanting attention, them seeking out attention from people that they don't even know or care about. They're going to do things to spark out attention. And I mean, the first way to do that is by violence. So using these ARs to create violence is not the ARs is not the problem. That's what I'm trying to say. There's no problems, with my opinion, with guns at all. But we got to do something about the mental health crisis.
And I think there's a difference. And I got to be careful what I say here.
I know it's hard.
PTSD is real amongst veterans, and it's real amongst normal everyday people that have experienced tragedy and stuff like that. But there's a difference between mental health and stupidity.
Yeah.
Just because you say you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you have one. If you feel sorry for yourself or you're in a low, it doesn't mean you have mental health issues. And people have to understand that. And we rely so heavily on the term mental health. You see athletes take a leave of absence for their mental health. Normal everyday people can't just shut down their life because of their mental health. It's just not a normal part of the everyday person. So I think I want to quantify that, because I'm going to quantify that with the idea that true mental health issues, meaning if you have mental health issues, you don't have the cognitive ability to process what you're about to do or what you have done. A lot of these guys, they can process it. They knew what the hell they were doing. They meant to do it. They planned it. That's not mental health. That's stupidity. That's an idiot that has never been held accountable. And it's someone who thought they were untouchable or were willing to say, you know what, I'm willing to suffer this minor consequence by doing something stupid. And I think that's the problem we face in this country when it comes to guns. And you can see all these rich people, that jumped in on the Kansas City shooting thing. They stand on these soapboxes, and that's not my intention. But when you stand on a soapbox and you preach about gun safety and gun violence and restricting guns and all this, you're not solving the problem. You're trying to disarm people that could potentially defend themselves. And I think there's a fine line to walk there, because do I think that everybody should own or have access to firearms? No. I believe there should be some form of stopgap to stop certain people from being able to own them. Obviously, you're a felon, things like that. And those stopgaps are in place. Guess what? Those people are still getting them, and they're still using them.
Yeah.
And if it's not an AR platform, it's a pistol. If it's not a pistol, it's a rifle. If it's not a rifle, it's a bomb. I mean, you look at Oklahoma City. I mean, if people are going to do dumb shit, they're going to do dumb shit. And I just want everybody that pays attention to this podcast to make sure that you understand that we're not for or against any side of the political aisle. This is straight a conversation amongst human beings that have experience with firearms. I have experience in dealing in a community who had a mass shooting in Sutherland Springs. And I know people that were in that church. A friend of mine's dad was shot in that church. It's a real epidemic in this country, but not as much as I think the epidemic of non-accountability is in this country.
I personally think, again, starting with everybody gets a trophy, everybody wins. It leads back to that. Starting at a young age, they're not getting any accountability for their actions at a very young age, which develops those type of feelings they get as a teenager, as they go into an adult, and they're still feeling like entitled. Especially like 17, 18-year-olds. I come across some of these people that they think they know more than I do, and they're 17 years old. And those are the people out there that are going out there and creating this drama and violence, all that stuff, because they are entitled because of the way they grew up. Stop giving the trophies to everybody.
Yeah. So we'll end on that note with the gun talk.
We can go all day, but yeah.
We could do this all day. But Super Bowl happened a couple weeks ago. I don't remember who I picked, but I'm pretty sure I picked the 49ers and the Chiefs. And the Chiefs won. Patrick Mahomes did it again. Brock Purdy didn't do it again. Well, I guess he didn't play the last time. I thought it was a badass game, but I actually stopped watching it at halftime.
It was honestly a really great game. I think the 49ers could have won. They just made why would they choose to do that in overtime? Why would they take the ball?
For anybody that
rules.
Dude, that is the biggest crock of shit that I've ever heard. But all the teammates coming out and saying, well, we didn't discuss the rules.
Yeah.
The referee explained the rules to you at the coin toss. You knew the rules. I don't care if you didn't talk about it for a month, a year, 10 months, whenever. You're a part of the Players Association. Players Association and the owners held their meetings. They established those rules. Players Association approved it. The referee explained the rules at coin flip. That's it. Period. It's over. For anybody to make an excuse they didn't know the rules when you picked to take the ball, that's on you. I don't care. I still don't think they'd have won the game if they had kicked off. They still only kicked the field goal, and the Chiefs went down the field and scored.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs go down the field and score again. And let's just say let's just say you get to the 25, 30 yard line, fourth down. I don't think they're winning anyways. Patrick Mahomes in that case is just unstoppable. And you look at over the course of the season, the Chiefs went from struggling the first quarter of the season, kind of getting together by the halfway point. Third of the season in, 2/3 of the season in, they're doing really well, and then they wrap it up with a hell of a run. And
would you call him the GOAT?
yeah,
and it's a hard one.
That's a tough one, but I would have to say I've never, in all my years of watching football, playing football at low levels, I have never seen anybody play the way he plays.
No.
The dude just finds like the Eli Manning played David Tyree in the 2007, I think, Super Bowl. When David Ray caught that ball, that's what Patrick Mahomes does that every single game.
Yeah.
Like the dude just finds ways to win. Of course, the Swifties were cheering on the Chiefs, so that probably gave him a little bit of a propellant.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be honest, I don't think Patrick Mahomes is super athletic. He just plays smart. He's a leader, and he finds a way to win.
He's very meticulous in his preparation, I think, and he can make some stupid throws, and he doesn't have a great surrounding cast. I mean, he's got a decent defense. He's got a good run defense.
I mean, his brother supports him.
Oh boy, we're gonna talk about Jackson Mahomes.
Yeah,
he's a big TikToker now.
No, yeah,
that guy's so annoying. Him and his wife drive me absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not here to.
His wife hasn't been as bad lately.
No, but I saw that she didn't let Patrick Mahomes sit at their Super Bowl table for their media day or whatever it was. That was pretty great. So that was pretty awesome. Of course, Dallas Cowboys news came out. They hired defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer. And I think that's a huge hire. I think he's going to be very good for the team in terms of discipline. Obviously, penalties were a big issue with the Cowboys last year, leading the league in penalties.
So this is our year?
I'm not going to go that far. I need to see how the offseason. I'm not one to do predictions like that. I don't jump on that because predictions can be so wrong so easily.
Oh, yeah.
Like everybody that wrote the Chiefs off early in the season. I mean, they came back and won.
To be honest.
I wrote them off. But I still think they're a 10, 11 win team. Can they get past the playoff hump? I don't know, but Mike Zimmer's a huge step in the right direction. You got contract talks going on with Dak Prescott. You got Mike McCarthy on the last year of his deal. This is a 1 year, you're in it all or you're not at all. And I hope the Cowboys go into this with the mindset of let's not give Dak Prescott a contract, which I'm a Dak Prescott fan. I wasn't a big fan of his until this year. This year he really sold me. But I think you let him write out his last year of his deal with Mike McCarthy. And you say, okay, y'all go and you do something, and then we'll sign you.
Who's the replacement? It's getting close to that time.
Well, it's getting close to that, or you pay him $60+ million a year. I mean, it's a tough decision to make. And a lot of people talk about the cap and keeping Dak Prescott on the roster, knowing that he's going to be $50+ million against your cap. You can make 3 or 4 moves in terms of restructures with different players, Brandon Cooks, Terrell Diggs, stuff like that. You could do post June 1 cuts on Michael Gallup, a couple other players, the Leighton Vander Esch, that could free up, $60, $70 million and put you about $20 million over or under the cap with 5 or 6 moves and be able to absorb Prescott's contract, as well as having $20+ million to play with when it comes to signing free agents. You can't go all in, but of course there's other switches you can flip to go all in. So I think they got a really good shot if they're aggressive in the offseason, if they have another good draft haul. Some of their draft picks, like from last year, like Mozzie Smith, he needs to put weight back on. I think under a Zimmer scheme, he's going to put weight back on. And, you pick up a free agent linebacker, you draft really well at center, maybe even a replacement for Tyron Smith. But news came out today from Calvin Watkins that he's a beat writer for the Dallas Cowboys, that Tyron Smith wants to come back, get him on a good deal. You got a left tackle. He's going to miss 3 or 4 games. You've got some quality backups. You need a center. You need a running back. You need a bit of linebacker. Trayvon's coming back. I think they got a really good shot at making some noise next year, but that's regular season.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell they're going to do in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know how they can dominate the regular season and get the playoffs and just lose to the Packers. It's horrible.
They didn't just lose to the Packers, bro.
Yeah,
it was one of the most heart-wrenching
But I'm just saying,
games.
it's the Packers. The Packers, they did step it up the second half of the season, but
were they 4 out of 5 or something like that in the season?
I think it was no, they won 7 games, I think. If I'm not mistaken. It was crazy.
I mean, they're going to be a team to contend with the Lions. I mean, the NFC's stacked. I mean, it's not like the old days where the AFC was the stack. I mean, the NFC is stacked, and we'll see what happens next year with the 49ers. They got some big free agency decisions coming up. The Lions, they're going to be pretty good for a while. Jared Goff can keep it together. But I think the move to hire Mike Zimmer was a good one. They need somebody that's going to get in some asses and really piss some people off and kind of makes people understand that accountability is important. Obviously, we're talking about accountability a lot this episode. In the final segment, I want to get into real estate. The market's getting a little weird. We had 2 rate jumps over the last 2 weeks. What are you seeing out there? What kind of is the market that you're seeing out there?
So I see 2 things. I see either a house goes on the market, sells really quick, or sits for 2 months. So it's starting to pick up a little bit more now. Houses that have been, it's one of those things where you say like, oh, this house has been sitting. Let's go check it out. Then we go look at it. It's been on the market for 120 days. We think about over the weekend about putting in an offer. Oh, but now the house is gone. Got multiple offers. So it's getting to that type of market. A lot of the buyers are finally realizing that we're never going back down to 3, maybe not even 4% rates. Maybe 4.5. But I think they're just starting to realize like, hey, I got to either figure out what I can afford now or never buy. But a lot of these people who did buy the last, I would say 2 years, I actually see a lot of those people turning around and selling. I think they bought in a frenzy and bought too quickly and just bought something they didn't want. So this past month, I actually signed probably the most listings I ever had 1 month. I signed like 6 listings.
Oh,
for me, that's a lot. I know for him, it's not.
That's a lot of listings.
Yeah. So 6 listings. I would say every single one of them was newer than 2018, 2020,
like bought newer than
no, like even built, like 2018, 2021, like so all these homes that were built in the last 5 years. I don't know if it's the quality. I don't know if they again just bought something they really just didn't want, but those are all the ones that are reselling.
You got to imagine it's got to be so bad that they're willing to give up a 2.5%, 3% interest.
Yeah.
Especially like we're seeing more assumables.
Yeah, we are definitely seeing that.
And for those of you that don't know what an assumable loan is, you want to explain to them?
So, assumable loan, for example, I think it was VA and FHA. You can essentially
some conventional.
Yeah, some conventional. I didn't know that. So, essentially, let's say if I have a 2.5% interest rate, and my bank does have to allow it with VA, especially, and there's another buyer, VA or non-VA, can actually assume a VA loan. They would essentially apply with my bank, the one I have with the loan already, get approved to take over the loan, just like it says, assumed into their name. Is that pretty much correct? Now, let's say that the house is worth $350,000. That's what the client is selling it for, but the loan is $280,000. They do have to come up with that difference in equity to assume that loan.
In cash or a secondary lien.
Yeah. Cash or a secondary lien, and then essentially that's the really only way you can get a 2.5% rate right now. And people are doing it out right there. I actually have a listing in New Braunfels right now, 2.6% interest rate, VA, and it's on the market. So if you want to buy it,
you got to be careful though. And for those of you listening that don't know much about assumable loans, especially on the VA side, actually only on the VA side.
Yeah.
If you have a VA loan and you're carrying a 2.1, 2.2, 2.5, whatever. It doesn't matter if somebody that's not VA assumes that, you lose your eligibility for the life of that loan. So if somebody comes in and buys your house under an assumable VA loan and they, assume it at $250,000 and they bring $100,000 to the table for a $350,000 house, that $250,000 of your eligibility is tied up in that house still until that person sells to somebody that's not assuming the loan, and you have to hold off that portion of your eligibility. And it basically essentially means that for 30 years, you got $250,000 less of eligibility. Now, the VA buyer assumes that loan. Then your eligibility frees up, but you have to use an addendum that Trek promulgated. I believe it was Trek. Anyways, you have to use an addendum to protect that eligibility so that you can get that eligibility back once the loan is paid for and you move forward. So we're seeing a lot of that on the seller side, and a lot of assumable questions. I don't like to do assumable loans just because of the eligibility point. But also it takes longer to close. We're in a better market in terms of more buyers, more people moving on properties. So we don't fall too heavy on the assumables. I had one reach out to me the other day on a listing. They wanted to assume the loan, but they didn't have the cash difference, which you have to come up with either in a second lien, which is another payment, or cash. And so assumables are very complicated. Make sure you find a realtor or a lender that's really good at doing that. And even if the lender, it has to be the lender that carries the original note. And that means the note that was sold to a secondary investor. So your broker, your mortgage broker, is going to do your processing, close your loan. But at the end of the day, that mortgage broker is going to sell it to the secondary market. And some investor, a mortgage company, is going to buy it. and they're going to manage it. They're going to operate it. They're going to pay attention to it. That is who the buyer has to get pre-qualified with, and they have to go through that company to assume your loan. It's a stressful process, and it takes a lot of time to close them. So be very cautious when you're doing those.
I was going to bring up one more thing that I'm seeing a lot in the market right now is, again, especially with my VA loans, I'm getting a lot of sub-2 offers. How do you feel about sub-2 offers, especially for VA?
Subject to are ridiculous. So subject to offer essentially is someone's going to buy your property, but you're going to keep the property in your name, and they're going to pay you cash or whatever over what your loan is for. And you get to walk away with some cash, but you're still carrying the mortgage. If they default, sure, you can go after them for the default, but ultimately the first default falls on you. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to hire a lawyer or whatever to go after them. I think subject to offers are a joke. I can't believe anybody would even consider them. If you're that desperate to sell your house, you need to hold on your house or price it right, price it better to sell it, even if that means taking less equity, because the amount of risk that comes to a subject to, it's just, I think it's too high. I won't entertain them. I will present them to my clients.
Same.
I had a guy reach out to me the other day, and I saw this post up on Shift Talk, one of our Facebook groups, and a lady brought this up that somebody wanted to submit a subject to offer. She didn't like it. She didn't want to present it. And they basically said, you have to present it. I submitted the offer. Well, he's right. You have to present it. And I did. And my client asked my advice, and I told him, no, I wouldn't take it if it was me. It's your money. It's your house. You make the decision. But subject to offers carries a lot of risk. That's the only time I've ever seen it. And I haven't pursued them too much, but I don't understand. What it is people that don't want to get approved. They don't want to pay interest rates. And it's really investors that are trying to scoop up these properties really, really cheap with these low interest rates because they're getting better rents on them because rents have gone up, and they can go and they can make money off of your property. Well, if that's the case, why don't you just rent it out?
Yeah.
Why don't you go make the money until you can gain the equity to sell it, or the market gets better so you can sell it and make what you want? So it's just having the right agent that can explain to a seller what the subject to offer can do to them and how it breaks down over the course of the loan and the risk and stuff like that. And I'm seeing it. I think a lot of it comes to inexperience with agents, and it's just, there's this
comes to that and greed, like, because I can easily, the investor says, oh, I'll pay your commission, I'll do this, and I'm like, I could easily talk my client into it, but my responsibility is to my client. And if I don't think that's the best thing for them, I'm going to tell them not to do it. I'm not going to do anything just for a paycheck. I'm going to take care of my client and always put them first because, again, I got in this business to help people. Yes, I'm going to make money while I'm doing it, but I'm never going to screw someone over just for a paycheck.
Well, that's the other thing people forget. Agents, our fiduciary trumps our right to compensation.
Yep.
And I learned that a long time ago. And a fiduciary is our responsibility to our client. And it does trump our right for compensation. And at the end of the day, we make a commission for doing our job. And if you don't do your job right, you're not going to get referral business. And I think agents have lost sight of that. We talk about it on the last episode, and I talk about it all the time on other podcasts that I'm on, that the lack of accountability in real estate has created a big problem for realtors and for people in the real estate industry, loan officers, stuff like that. And agents will just do whatever they can to get a paycheck because they live transactionally. They're not worried about what they're going to make on the next deal, or if you take really good care of that client, they leave you a good review, it's going to lead to another deal and another deal. And I think people fall short on those standards of ethics and knowing that, hey, you got to do what's best for your client, even if it costs you a paycheck.
Yeah.
I've walked away from deals. I've told clients not to buy houses because of certain things, or not to buy them. I'll put the ball in their court, but you have to put yourself, you got to put your client ahead of your paycheck, and you got to make sure that you're doing it the right way, because at some point you're going to close the client. You're going to make your money. And if you're smart about your money, you're not going to have to worry about going transactionally, because you're going to be able to afford to take care of yourself and your responsibilities while you're waiting for it. And I think there's a lot of bad tendencies with agents right now. I think, a lot of falling out of the business. There's still a lot in the business that shouldn't be in the business, but I'm seeing a lot of laziness, a lot of incompetency. I'm seeing even it from brokers. I mean, I just helped an agent close a deal with a terrible broker that was just unbelievably, ridiculously bad to work with. And I think agents need to get back on the whole working for your client mindset, because
100%. That's why all these lawsuits came about in the first place. Is all these people complain because the agent cared about themselves more than their client at the end of the day.
That's exactly what it was. And it goes into training. And I know a lot of people talk about, again, and I'm not talking about training with coaches or with, real estate coaches or business coaches. I'm talking about training with agents that know what the hell they're doing. Masterminding groups, group training, understanding the contract. Everything you need to know about real estate is in that contract.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing. If you study that contract, if you understand that contract, you won't have to worry about nothing. It answers every question. You just have to know how to interpret it, and you have to know how to explain it to your client so that they can interpret it. Getting out of the contract, objection clauses, exemptions on the title commitment, things like that.
You don't mean it's just filling in blanks and that's it?
Well, then Dotloop do that for you?
Yeah, that's what some agents think. They just
it's not.
They have no idea what it means.
It's so funny because I'll get offers on my listings, and I'll be like, I got one from a broker not too long ago, and I was just like, who the hell? Like, I thought 3-year-old filled the contract out. I was like, what are you doing? Like, they wanted $300 for an option period for 7 days. And I'm like, no. I mean, we don't need to do all that. Like, it don't be crazy. I mean, I'll take it if you want to give it to me. I mean, my client would love to have it. It's guaranteed money, but you just get some stupid stuff. And I think agents have gotten lazy. They've gotten incompetent. There's a big lack of training. And I think it falls at the brokerage level. And I talked to Jeff Garza about this not too long ago with Mark Jones on the Key Factors podcast, is that it all falls on the broker level and the team lead level. Leadership matters, and who's leading you into real estate really matters. Who is teaching you about this stuff really matters. If they have a reputation of shortcutting things, you're going to shortcut things. If they have a reputation of doing things the right way, you're probably going to do things the right way. So when you're choosing who you're going to get your license with or who you're going to broker with, make sure you're picking someone that can set you up for training. And trust me when I tell you, nobody hates training more than I do. I hate reading. I mean, I can read really well with a pop-up book, but I hate reading and I hate studying.
Same.
But at the end of the day, when it comes down to being sued, and I've been sued, you want to make sure you do your due diligence. You want to make sure you understand what the hell you're doing. Stop being lazy. Stop taking your clients for granted. Make sure you're putting your clients ahead of yourself, and everything else will take care of itself. I've done it my entire career. It's worked out pretty well. You've done it your career. It's worked out pretty well for you. This team is built on training, having it always available. There's always someone you can call and get advice from. That's why I like the idea of a team. That's why when everybody asks me, why don't I go out on my own? Why would I?
Yeah.
If I have a question, I just pick up the phone, call one of the 60 plus agents on the team, and I get the answer I need, and I can move on. And my phone's available for any of those agents. Even agents outside the team call me all the time. What are you seeing on the buyer side? Because you're more heavy on the buyer side. Well, obviously now it looks like you're more heavy on the listing side.
I'm starting to get, they actually just put me on the Zillow listings.
Listings?
So, yeah.
Oh,
so I'm starting.
great.
Yeah.
What are you
taking
seeing
them over to more listings
from listing agents in general? What are you seeing in terms of bad tendencies?
One, communication. Like I had a client this past weekend that was ready to go, ready to see a property, literally ready to make a cash offer, but we couldn't get in touch with the listing agent to get a question answered. So they just, we don't want to see it after all. So communication, not answering your phone. That's one of the biggest things I see, especially on weekends. Like I feel like listing agents just think they don't need to work on weekends, which sometimes they don't have to work on weekends, but you should still at least answer your phone. That's one of the biggest things. Two, overpricing a listing just to get a listing. Some people there's a lot of overpriced listings out there, and the listing agent knows it's overpriced, but they're just taking it just so that they can stack up their list of listings so they can tell the next client, hey, I have 10 listings. I'm successful. But just because you have listings doesn't mean you could sell a listing. That's a big difference. So taking overpriced listings, that doesn't help the client out at all, the seller. That doesn't help the seller out at all, just for their house to sit on the market for 150, 200 days. I saw one the other day for, I think it was 362 days. Houses shouldn't be on the market that long. They shouldn't. No. So that's some of the biggest things. Overpriced listings and communication are really bad right now. And you didn't really have to worry as much about communication the last 2 years. Houses were selling off the shelf in a week. So just getting back to the basics and keeping your phone ready to go and actually caring about what you do. At the end of the day, people don't care. They just care about a paycheck and that's it.
The biggest thing that I would say with listing agents, and if you're a client that's looking at listing your house soon and your agent walks up and your picture day is them with a cell phone, run like hell. I am so tired. And I say this all the time. I'm so tired of seeing cell phone pictures on listings. Pictures are not expensive.
See this in the background.
Yeah, in the mirror. Hey, trying to take an angle so you don't see you and you see like their side boob or their arm or something. It's so ridiculous. There's no excuse in it. There's no reason to do it that way. There's a lot of old school agents that do it that way, and there's a lot of new agents that do it that way. Professional pictures are not that expensive, especially if you think of what you can make selling houses. Do your job the right way. Descriptions are my biggest pet peeve.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you got to use Chat GPT. Stop putting single sentence descriptions, because everything that you do in real estate on the internet is generated by keywords. You know that as well as anybody.
Yep, 100%.
People search for specific keywords. And if you don't have keywords in your remarks so that the public can see them, your house may not come up.
Yep.
And that matters. So when you're showing up with a cell phone and you have a one sentence, this beautiful wooden home is for sale, guess what? You're probably not selling fast unless it's just like the cat's meow homes and the right buyer walks in. I mean, at the end of the day, we have one job to do it the right way. Stop jacking around playing games, because that's what makes us look so bad in the real estate business, is people that are lazy and incompetent. And I've got no problem calling them out. I will go to war with an agent through email, over the phone, in person. I don't care. If you're doing your client an injustice, I'm going to take advantage of you with my client, and I'm going to make you look really bad to your broker, to Trek, to my broker, whoever. And you can call whoever you want. At the end of the day, we have a job to do, and that job is to take care of our clients. Then it's to get paid after it's closed. And too many agents out there, they don't want to do that. They just want to screw around. They want to go and they want to post their pictures and their TikTok stories, no offense. And
they want to live selling sunset.
They want to live selling sunset in a 1993 Hyundai Sonata. That's not life. That shit ain't real.
Yeah, you got to get a Tesla.
Keller Williams Awards were last Friday. I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was hunting instead. But I want to give a huge, huge shout out first to all the agents on the Neil and Neil team that absolutely killed it this year. Carlos was one of them, got huge awards, absolutely cleaned up house. And then they walked into the Keller Awards City View ceremony and dominated. Yeah. I mean, would they take every single group level award?
Yeah, like they couldn't even sit down. They were getting so many awards. It's crazy.
I wasn't there, but I heard it was an absolute, it was a blast.
I wasn't there either.
Oh, you didn't go?
I was at a listing appointment.
Well, I wasn't at a listing appointment. I should have been, but I've got plenty of those coming up. It was funny because were you there the year that they made me wear a suit?
I don't think so. I wear a suit every year, but
that's ridiculous.
He wears the big belt buckles all the time.
That's just true. I do wear. Shout out to RB Buckles, Rusty the Dio. Dude's making me one right now. I can't wait to get it. But no, about 3 or 4 years ago, Keller Awards award ceremony. I think it was the first one I ever went to. I've only been to 2. I went to it, and going to it, they were like, "Oh yeah," I was like, "What's the dress code?" Because I wear, jeans or a polo and boots. Shane and Clint were like, "Hey, you got to wear a suit." I'm like, I don't even own a suit. I've got my Class A's from the Army. They definitely don't fit anymore. I was like, I can't go buy a suit. So I called Brittany, my wife, and babe, I need your help because I don't have this lick of style sense. We went shopping. I don't know. I'm not going to say how much money I spent, but I put together this badass blue suit. I looked good. I looked really good. And I showed up and everybody was wearing jeans and boots and I was pissed. I was so mad. And they were laughing at me, and I just stopped going.
So they just told you on purpose to wear.
100%. They just wanted me to go buy. They wanted to see me in a suit. It was embarrassing. I walked into that place and I was just like, I mean, there was some people wearing suits, but it was like one of those. It was like a costume type deal.
Yeah,
it's like people were wearing like the glass thing on their eye and the.
You were like in the Dumb and Dumber type suit.
Oh, God, it was so bad. It was blue. It was all tailored, like super snug, and I was kind of fat then, so it was like. But everybody's like, this is the style. Like I get to the tailor shop and he's like, yeah, you got to do this. And cuff's got to be a little bit shorter and you got to, it can't be over your shoes. And I was like, okay. So we bought the suit. It was blue. It's still in my closet. It does not fit anymore. Will never happen again. I curse Shane and Clint to this day for that. I will never get over that. It will forever be logged in my memory with PTSD. And I just don't go to those anymore because I'm not getting conned into that nonsense anymore. But shout out to all the leaders on the team, everybody that put in the work for a brilliant 2023 in a year that we thought it was going to be struggle bus.
We're already on pace to beat it this year.
Dude, but y'all are killing it this year. And it's going to be another record-breaking year. And I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm excited to be a part of this podcast. And I thank everybody that's tuned in. And we're going to do another one.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, in a month, we'll be back.
So next month we'll be back, and we're probably going to ramp this up. I would say let's see what the response is. But, I mean, going every 2 weeks probably isn't something that's out of the question.
Yeah,
if we do that, I may have to shift gears a little bit and we have to set up a podcast studio at my house because this drive up here to the office is ridiculous. I mean, it's not far for you.
I mean,
for
like
me, it's like what?
8 minutes.
Yeah, I'm 58 minutes from this place, and it's eating me up in diesel.
I bet
Diesel ain't cheap.
My Tesla is wasting a lot of energy.
This is why he doesn't hunt. Yeah, drive a Tesla through a pasture.
You can.
I mean, I would pay. I'll ride with you.
We took a limo on the ranch. Were you there for that?
No, I was not there for that. What the hell? Shane and Clint, if you're listening, how the hell did he ride in the limo before me? I'm not happy about
what happens
this.
on the ranch stays on the ranch.
This is the type of shit that bugs me. Like, what? Like, you know what? We're not even gonna get into this. I'm gonna make a phone call after this. I'm gonna go. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to the Just One More podcast. We're gonna keep working kinks out, kind of make it better. We're gonna add some more guests. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. We're gonna go pretty real estate heavy next month because this is where we start to see that market shift a little bit going into the spring, summertime. Things are starting to ramp up pretty hard and heavy. We're going to highlight some listings, some stuff we have coming up. So if you're looking in the market for different types of price points, we're going to talk about some of those. And for Carlos and myself, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next month.
See you later.